as much as I have been a part of that in the past, when I look at that, I see the mistake that was made. I see I see that there were things being done that people did not understand, and then I ask myself why, and then it goes right back to everything else. I did it because I inherited it, and what I mean by that is I heard other people say we're supposed to do that, and then they justified it by what Paul did, but never what Jesus did.
Mm.
So I guess to answer your question, Evelyn, even though there's no difference in it, it also speaks to people being bound by the religious energy of the earth.
Okay.
I think, given what you just said and what Rain was saying, I also see it as being just political from both standpoints, where both people are trying to use one another in terms of showmanship and support. Of course, as Rain said, them trying to influence certain policy, and then him going on with charade, and I mean that to its fullest, as I even think about that smile on his face, to try to act or go along with this idea that he is aligned with them, and in terms of them being his loyal constituents. And it's nothing but a political charade, where it's not necessarily, there's no money that's being exchanged. It's favor and influence that is being exchanged.
Isn't it not interesting that regardless of how many times we talk or how many times we meet, no matter who we talk with, isn't that not amazing that every bit of it goes back to what's going on now? All of it is related, as opposed to just opening up an understanding of what we call scriptures and stuff. Why do you think that is? That's not a trick question. That's an inquiring mind wanting to know.
Is it because they're the one who screwed the world up anyway?
Now, why do we always talk about the corona thing, how people are being adversely affected by everything that's going on now? It's like we have been able to bring everything together and see it as one movement.
Oh, okay.
Could it possibly be because the Creator has directed everyone's thoughts to the same place? The energy is being directed towards a specific target, and the target is not a man. The target is a set of beliefs, or the target is all the chaos that has had free reign in the earth, and now that we are geared toward, all of our thoughts are geared towards this chaos, we have opportunity to expand the chaos or to bring order out of the chaos.
No, in perfect sense. I mean, one of the things that is definitely taking place is that with everything that is going on in terms of the spotlight, it's becoming impossible for the same religious attitudes to not be associated, because it's almost as if they're aligning. When I say, I use the proverbial they, just saying religiosity is aligning itself with everything that is going on to the point where it's automatically associated with it. It's in the headlines.
And I think that a large portion of it is fear. People are looking for something better. They're looking for a way out. They're looking for deliverance. And suppose the things that we are beginning to see and understand are the methods of delivery for those who are afraid and feel like they have no place to turn. I like last night when Nick said spoke concerning the atmosphere, the air being cleansed, right? I saw the before and after pictures of China and how the smog, how the air was clean.
And I didn't mention it goes even. Go ahead.
I can just say this thing is doing more than one thing. It's bringing people to a place of understanding that who we are. We are the same, but also we have talked about the earth and how the Creator intends for us to be good stewards of the earth, and how our desire is to bring an end to this pollution, and so the earth itself can breathe freely. Well, when Nick made that statement last night, I didn't think about it then, but afterwards, I'm thinking that everything seems to be happening at one time, like it does in the other realm. That we look at the movement of people towards each other in terms of helping each other, but we also see a move that cleanses the air. We also are seeing a system of manipulation changing, a government that has taken from people being forced to give to people, a government that refuses to take into consideration the health of a people who need help desperately, but now are being forced to take that into consideration. So I don't know. I see so many things that are in the process of being altered in a positive way, and I see that happening because of the focus of the energy. I believe, and please tell me if you see it differently or see more to it than this. Either way, but I believe that the reason we have not been able to shift our conversation or our thoughts from this whole issue of coronavirus and the things that's going on around it. I believe that we have to focus our energy on it. We're being pushed to do that. It's not by our sitting down making a conscious choice that we're going to do it. It's more of our being guided to do that, regardless of how we will want to shift our thoughts to another area that's not available to us now. Sheldon, you were saying?
Well, I was just mentioning even beyond the sky, and I don't know the connections, even in Italy and Venice, for the first time in forever, the canals have cleared up to the point where you can actually see fishes swimming around and things like that. So then other changes as well. You can actually see down to the bottom of the canals.
And look at a very short period of time, you know?
Yeah, very short. Just a quick few weeks.
Anyone else, any questions?
Yeah, just I don't have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have a question, but I wanted to just, make a statement in reference to, an experience, that I had this week. And I think it's related to, my concern or just seeing the manifestation of leadership coming to the forefront, in a way that we can begin to see changes that need to take place. Again, in Philadelphia, we have a new presiding judge. He's an African American man who actually grew up, in the North Philadelphia area. And what I'm sensing in my spirit is that he's a person that knows how, the judicial system works, how the government works in terms of just the politics. But I believe that his heart is there, and he has a desire to see change. We've had a good dialogue, since, his accepting and presiding for, the city in terms of diversion programs. And he really wants to see a change. And at the same time, in our relationship, we've talked heart to heart in terms of looking at ways that, we can look at how to change the atmosphere. And the reason why I'm so encouraged or in a prayer or meditation is to really see change take place. I know that we've had, discussions. I know that we've been, engaged in a way that the light is beginning to show, in my opinion, in terms of where I'm at in my journey. But I know that, we all are one yet many. And so I'm just at a point, in my life and journey, James, that I have to see the desires of, people who are seeking enlightenment, that it's real. I know with the situation we're in, a lot of people are hurting, a lot of people are travailing, but I know that there's hope, I know that there's light, and so I'm just, really, trying to seek, and I'm really listening, with my heart, wanting to know how do we continue to proceed in what we're doing, and I know that it's manifesting, but I'm only just trying to say I really feel the breakthrough is getting ready to change in Philadelphia, and I know it's because of our desire and our expectation to see this happen, but being able to, continue to guide or to counsel or to be there in time of need, that you can begin to build the foundations, for the journey that, we all are on, and the journey that humanity is on and is in. So, again, I'm just saying to everybody that I appreciate, our time together. I appreciate the skill sets, the mindsets that we all have. And I'm just only, again, just reaching out to say that I truly appreciate, our family. I appreciate our relationships. And so I need to be a little bit more adamant or more seeking, to be able to help mankind. And I think another example is last night with Sheldon in terms of with the Zooms. For some reason, I don't know why, but I had 2 Zoom calls this week, just for the first time. And so some things are new. But I appreciate the gifts that we all have just to be able to empower one another, to be able to make a difference. And again, I say in terms of mankind. So I know that I might be a little bit here or there, but I know something is taking place. I know something is happening in the universe. I know that we're called, for a divine purpose. And so just, again, let's be who we are. And I truly appreciate, again, our time and our conversation. But I just wanted to let you guys and let everybody know that I know something is happening in Philadelphia, and I'm just hoping that we can continue to change the government's mindset in terms of how we are effective in helping mankind or humanity. So I just wanted to share those thoughts. I just needed to get that out. And thank you, Joe Scott, for listening.
You know, I listened to what you were saying, George, and I think that you're voicing what all of us feel, and at the same time, what I hear is a total understanding that regardless of how chaotic things may be in Philly in relationship to what's going on around this whole country, not one time did you mention that. Because I think the focus is on the positive, on the change, as opposed to being focused on what's causing the change, what's bringing it about. You understand what I'm trying to say? I think that's where our focus is and should be. I listened at Ranger talk about the land on his hands thing, not one about any feeling any kind of way or having any feeling that there is no hope. What encourages me is listening at the people around me, the people who understand that without regard to what we are experiencing, there is always hope. And the hope that we are speaking of, do you know what that hope is? That hope that people are searching for is us. We are that hope. There has to be someone who is standing in the gap. There has to be someone who is willing to put it all out there for the benefit of humanity. And that's the things that I hear coming through with you, George. And that's the kind of change that I heard as we discussed things last evening. I want to ask Rainier, how are things there? It appears as though you may be in the epicenter of California.
One of the things, because both Joe and I have had to leave the house for some reason this week, there are a lot more people on the roads, which makes me wonder if people are getting to that point where they think, oh, we're okay. And I think it's because we haven't seen the explosion of cases that New York shows, but we also haven't been testing as much. They're testing besides first responders and, caregiver, medical staff will get tests first, but there's a couple drive-up or walk-up places for testing. And the places where they were testing, 51 of 200 and something people were diagnosed, that sort of thing. So I think folks just don't quite get how bad it is. I mean, I was talking to a lady, one of my mentors at work, and her husband is still essential. He has a hardware store, and they're considered essential. So he goes in and out to work every day, and she stays home, even though we can go into work. And she was talking about, I wouldn't mind going into work. And I remember telling her that one day that I went to pick up EJ's books as part of distance learning, I saw what could have been a little accident, the start of an accident, but it didn't happen. But at that moment, I thought, what if those people had an accident? They would be pulling resources that could be used to help fight this virus. And that's kind of the connectedness that people don't really see out here. So they've said for us, the next couple weeks will be really bad. And I think it's going to take that for people to go, oh, let's take this seriously. Like even in my employees, one of them wanted to take a couple days off because he had a vacation anyway. So he and a couple friends decided to go to the desert. And then they ended up, for some reason, not being able to stay there and just were crashing at a friend's parents' house. And I said outright to him, you aren't taking the sickness to his parents, are you? But, he's fairly young, out of school a year or so. And these guys thought social distancing meant I'm going to go on a fun trip to the desert. And it's like, dude, that's not what it means. And I think that's what I look at and go, it's going to take a little more than it has taken, I think, for folks to get it here. I don't think they quite do yet. And especially even the younger folks are like, oh, I'm fine. The lady I was talking to was not necessarily younger, but the kid was, and that's what I'm seeing, Pastor. Is it's not sunk in yet. I don't think.
I don't think it's going to sink in until and I dread saying this, but I don't think it's going to sink in until millennials begin to die in large numbers. And it may not even sink in then. Because I know people who have told their kids are like, some went on trips out of the country, some went to the beach, some did all these other things in group sessions, and they would not let them back in the house. They told them, you got to find someplace else to stay. These kinds of things are happening. And I don't think they get it. And I'm wondering, why is it that they don't get it? And I'm asking that question not from the stupidity of youth that all of us have experienced, but I'm asking that from a spiritual perspective. Why is it they don't get it? Why is it they can't see the seriousness of what's happening here? Why? I don't get it. I read this morning where wealthy people are paying $80,000 a month for a medical service that gets them tested and gives them access to doctors and nurses around the clock. And most of them who are doing it have left the inner city, like they've left their apartments and condos in New York and gone to their second home in Long Island and other places. And I thought about that. I thought about how people with means are thinking that they can escape this by going to a place separate from those who have less means. It's almost like I have the money to buy my way out of this thing, so I don't have to endure what you are enduring. It is my belief that at some point we are going to begin to see more and more people of means affected by this. Like yesterday, when this guy from Kentucky demanded that the House come back into session simply to do a voice vote. That to me is selfish and short-sighted. But the question is, why would he do that? Even the person who did it for criticized him for doing it. So I when you talk about the kids, I see people who are not millennials also of the same mindset. And I think that the millennials are there because of their mindset in terms of youth, but I think the older ones are there because of their mindset in terms of money and power. And those two things are going to be the death of a lot of people. Have anyone heard the projected number of deaths in this country? Hello?
I saw something yesterday, Pastor, where I was reading where there was one projection of up to 80,000.
Okay. Anyone? I saw a projection that was far more than that. It was upwards of 1 million people. And Ranger, I think the testing in this country is not being done the way it's done in other places because the government does not want anyone to know the number of people who are really.
That's exactly why at the top that they're not doing it. And we all know that's the worst way, frankly. You can't fix what you can't measure. We have no idea, what's going on. I'd read this article too. You mentioned about who's going to die. And the first lady to die, they did a story on her. The first lady in California to die, 68-year-old woman. I forgot what her occupation was. I don't think it was a nurse, but she was taking care of her elderly mother when they found out she was sick. So when they found out she was sick, her elderly mother and her nephew also tested positive. And the elderly mother was asymptomatic. She had no symptoms, still hasn't. And this woman died. And people think this thing follows logic. How can a disease that hit at least three people in that family take, someone who was taking care of her mother? It's like we think we get it just from the little bits we hear about what's going on, but I hear that and I go, wow. It did not touch the woman's mom, who had to be, at least 20 years older than her or so. It didn't take her at all. Never had any symptoms of note.
Well, was someone about to say something?
Yeah, James, in terms of the United States, there's 102,920 cases and 1,090 deaths in the United States, and globally, it's 618,043 total cases and 28,823 deaths globally. That's the number that I just got off CNN.
Right. By now, when you think about virologists and epidemiologists, by now they would have figured out the actions or the way this virus affects the body, but they have not. And Randy, you brought that to mind when you talked about the lady. They don't know how it affects the body in terms of why does it kill some and not others. To me, this actually gives credence to what we have been saying, that this is something that is being directed from the Creator, as opposed to an earthly sickness that we can get a handle on. Think about it. As long as this virus has been there, and as many people as it has affected, they still have not been able to determine how it affects the body based upon age and the type of illnesses the body may be enduring at the time that it infects it. They have not been able to figure out a way to actually stop it, because they have not figured out the means by which people are infected. They don't know how. When you think about a virus that can live in the air for 3 hours, and you walk into a store and someone who's been infected has been gone an hour and a half, yet it's still there. That's unheard of. And it's virulent enough to infect you. This is something that is reshaping humanity. And for humanity to be reshaped, it means that the thoughts and attitudes of humanity must also be reshaped. If we don't begin to see major shifts and the attitudes of humanity, then, and I'm talking about those who are power players, if we don't begin to see that, then I think that the numbers that George read are going to quadruple. It's almost like HIV. I remember when HIV became a fearful thing. People were totally afraid of it. And I remember when I was ridiculed because I started researching and became a counselor, and I did speeches to inform people of what it was or what it is and how it was transmitted. And I remember saying to them that at some point, every one of you are going to know someone who's infected, or you're going to have somebody in your family who's infected. Now, when I look at what's happening now, this thing is moving much faster than anything that I can ever think of. And it is not so much that every one of us are going to necessarily have somebody in the family affected. We are being affected by it right now because no one knows how to deal with it. When you think about the AIDS virus, when you think about HIV, what do you see? You see them being able to determine how it was being transmitted, which meant that they could begin to control it. However, when we look at this, there are no means of control for it. And the only means for control is that you stay as far away from everyone as you can. Physical isolation. I don't see that, as Sheldon said last evening, I don't see it as social isolation, because even without social media, people are socializing by virtue of the way they are helping each other. So the point I'm trying to make, I guess, it sounds like I feel like I'm rambling anyway. The point I'm trying to make is that this is one of the things that has affected mankind in a way that nothing else has. And with all of the modern technology we have, and with all of the people who are well versed in their fields, they cannot seem to figure out how to mitigate this thing, let alone contain it. The only mitigation I believe that's going to be effective is when attitudes change. And attitudes do not seemingly change until there is a huge tragedy that takes place. And what has taken place already should be tragic enough. Yet, it's not. And the tragedy has to take place in this country. It matters not what happens around the world. And I don't mean that in a negligible way. I'm saying it matters not what happens around the world to Americans. Americans' mindset doesn't change until America began to suffer the same thing that other people have suffered at the hands of America, but also have to suffer it in a different way. Because we are so accustomed to put the military on the battlefield or throwing money at them to stop it, to make sure that it doesn't get to us. However, we are in a place now where money doesn't matter. It's not going to change it, the course of it, and the military cannot stop it, and the doctors cannot figure it out, and anger is not changing anything, and lies from the top are not making it, are not mitigating it at all. So we have not seen the depth of the suffering that's going to take place in this country. We have to prepare ourselves when I say prepare, I'm talking about new mindset to endure something that the world has never seen. We are caught we are in Egypt, and we are being held against our will. And what I mean by that is, Egypt is, and the boundaries of Egypt is money. The boundaries of Egypt is the powers that be that controls everything. And the only way that we will get free from this is through the pestilence that's in the land. But I guess metaphorically, the firstborn of Pharaoh has to die first before they would take heed to what's going on. And the desire for balance and harmony becomes the blood that's on the doorpost that signifies to death that it passes you by. I don't mean that in a I mean that figuratively speaking, of course. But that's where I see that we are. We are in this metaphorical Egypt, and we have no way of being freed from it without the Creator doing so. And I believe this time, when it's done, we won't have to be in a wilderness. We will be in a place where we will recognize that all of us are one, and that regardless of what we look like, what we have in terms of possessions, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we are indeed our brother's keeper. That's what's important. And I hope I'm not random.
No, and that shift that you just explained is already taking place.
Say again?
I said that shift that you just mentioned, the latter part of your statement, is taking place right now. It's already started. So it's not even something that we're waiting on. That is something that is changed. That is something that is different now than what it was a week ago, different from what it was a month ago, different from what it was 2 months ago. It's a steady progress in that understanding and figuring out that I am my brother's keeper. It's been a steady change and progress towards all of the superficial things, the golden calf and things like that, now being seen as, okay, this was foolishness.
Pastor, I would like to say I am grateful for all the teachers, all the people that you cover. And I'm going back on one lesson that Kathy taught, Psalm 82. And how, it says, how long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Vindicate the weak and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and destitute. And then it says, rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them out of the hand of the wicked. They do not know, nor do they understand. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I say you are gods, and all of you are sons of the Most High. Nevertheless, you will die like men and fall like any one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for it is you who possesses all the nations. And if Kathy hadn't taught that, I think we would have been headed to destruction. And once that was taught, Barbara came, and it's like she said, pay attention. So I think things were put in motion to get our attention by what Kathy taught. And then Barbara came and said, pay attention. And that's when it looked like the floodgate opened. As you said, the membrane, what's that you said? The veil or something, when y'all had the meeting you were talking about?
Yes, the membrane that I didn't want to puncture it. I didn't want to know what's on the other side and let it puncture itself.
Right, but I could just see all this in motion. All these things are happening. And it's because of the teacher, the people that that you cover, they're just like bringing these things alive. It's like the scriptures are just coming to life when they're teaching it. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
It does. It does. I can see a connection between all of that. First, you got to realize and embrace who you are. You are Elohim. No matter what people have told you, that is not who you are. You are Elohim. You are the ones who people who are going through things are looking to for change. They're looking to you to protect them. They're looking to you to raise them up. If you don't embrace who you are, you're going to die like mere men as opposed to function as the Elohim or the God that you are. I have made you that way. And then moving to seeing the veil, seeing actually the veil there, the membrane, and knowing that it could be punctured, but yet not wanting to do that, willing to wait and see what is to be birthed behind that membrane, and not being able to recognize it unless we do pay attention. So I see a connection between all of that, and in paying attention, what we've come to realize, yes, we embrace that we are Elohim, and now that we understand that the veil has been punctured, and we see what's behind it, and what we see is what humanity is going through, and by paying attention, we know we are learning how to deal with it, so we can indeed be the fence or the keepers of our brothers. Is that what you're saying, Elvin?
I didn't see all of that, but yes, what you're saying makes so much sense. Yeah, thank you. I want to add something else, and I'm not trying to just prolong the time. What was it, 2 weeks ago, maybe a week, time is